Hi there, and thanks for watching CBS News Miami. I'm Lauren Pastrana. Miami Mayor Francis Suarez is no longer running for president. So what has he been up to since suspending his campaign? The mayor sits down with CBS News Miami's Yvonne Taylor for a one-on-one interview to discuss his run, controversies surrounding his time in the mayor's office, and possible plans for the future. Let's take a listen.
First of all, well, it's good to see you back again in South Florida.
It's good to be with you.
Must be glad to be back home.
I am. I'm glad to be back home. It was an interesting 75-day sort of adventure, if you will, running for president of the United States. I think it's one of the most amazing things about this country, that someone like me, the son of two Cuban exiles, the mayor of a big city, who was president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, can run for president. I think it says something great about our country, about our democracy. I thought that I had a chance to get elected based on being a unique proposition for the voters, being Hispanic, being a mayor, being someone that was young. And, unfortunately, when you run for president, only one person wins. And so...
Were you disappointed about that whole thing?
Absolutely. Of course you're disappointed when you don't succeed, right? And I was obviously disappointed in the way it happened as well, right? Because I was told that I had made the debate stage, or at least I was given that indication, and then later on I was told that I hadn't. So certainly that was disappointing. And unexpected. I was hoping to make that debate stage, which would have hopefully qualified me for the one that's about to happen. And then, of course, I get the news that the third one's going to be in Miami. So that would have been very enjoyable for me. We talked off the air about coming back home and sort of. And by the way, the second one is going to be in Simi Valley, which is where I announced my candidacy in the President Reagan's presidential library. So it would have been a good feeling as well.
I have to ask you a question because, it's good to hear you making all this explanation of your experience. And this time you invited us to come for an interview.
Yeah.
Why do you want to talk?
Well, I wanted to talk because I wanted to dispel any rumor that I'm not accessible. As some have said, I try to be transparent, accessible to the press at all times. And so for me, I'm always available. You know that I've always been available to you, whether it's in English and in Spanish. And we've made ourselves available so that no one can have any doubts as to my ability to be transparent and to talk about any issue that anyone wants to talk about.
Now that we're back, so we had not seen you for a number of days, and then we see you in this tense interaction, since you said,
sure,
with the Miami Herald reporter, Sarah Blasky. She was asking you some questions, and then next thing we know, so she reaches out, tells her phone, and when she puts the phone, you attempted to take the phone away. And I have to ask you, what happened that day? What was going through your mind that made you react like that?
So it was a Saturday. It was a budget hearing. And I was coming into City Hall with my 9-year-old son. We did not have a scheduled interview, which is normally the way in the process that we've established with the press, either through our invitation or through your request. And what happened was an unfortunate situation because, normally when I'm interacting with journalists, they ask for permission to record. Sometimes you want to talk on the record, sometimes you want to talk off the record. And the way that she put the camera in my face was a very dramatic gesture for me. And I simply just asked her to put it down, to take her distance, and to ask whatever question she wanted. She did that. She backed away. She asked her questions. I answered them. She continued to ask questions downstairs. I continued to answer them at a safe distance. And I think what's important is that there needs to be respect, and respect in terms of how we conduct ourselves. So from my perspective, I have no issues with the Miami Herald. I've never had an issue with the Miami Herald. I've always given them interviews.
Do you think she was disrespectful by putting the phone?
I think she took me by surprise and did something that sort of invaded my physical space. And that was unexpected.
How close was it to you?
Oh, it was it was right in front of me. Yeah.
Do you think that maybe has to do with the fact that, and I'm going to ask the question on behalf of any journalist.
Sure.
Do you think it had something to do maybe because of the tense relationship that you have with the Herald, that she felt compelled to have to put the phone because she wants to make sure that whenever she quotes you, she has the right answer of the mayor of the city of Miami?
Yeah, I can't tell you why she did it. Obviously I can't speculate as to that. All I can tell you is that we have a process for interviews, and they don't follow the process. Which, again, is to ask for an interview, and then we'll either give it to them or we'll answer the question in writing. Sometimes they put the questions in writing and we answer them. So I think this sort of TMZ style journalism, I had never seen it before. That's never happened in my 14-year career. I've never had someone put a camera a few inches away from my face. And it's unfortunate that it happened, and I wish it wouldn't have happened, and I hope it doesn't happen again, because I don't think that's good for either party.
How is your relationship now with the Herald after that incident?
Well, I always want the relationship to be a good relationship. I never want to be in any sort of a battle with any journalistic organization, but I'm concerned. I have concerns about their objectivity. I have concerns about their bias. I've seen, for example, in the last, before this reporter came on the beat, first of all, she never came to introduce herself to me, to say, these are common courtesies. The year before she came on, they had written 10 negative articles about me. I'm not, as a politician, you have to get used to criticism. That's part of being in public. But in the last 4 months, it's been 40 negative articles, right? So 40 negative articles in 4 months, 10 in a year. I've never had any ethical issues in my entire time. From the minute we got here, she starts talking about the games I attend, the events that I go to, and that's not the business of the city of Miami. The residents want me to go and support my teams, support events that I help bring to Miami, like Formula One. So to me, it's off the topic. That particular day, on that Saturday, instead of asking me questions about the budget, which was what we were doing in business, she kept asking me questions that I had already answered about events that already transpired that were the subject of an ethics opinion that got dismissed later that week. Was the headline, Mayor Suarez ethics complaint dismissed? No. They tried to minimize that dismissal and continue the investigation. So they went from a paper of, producing facts to a paper that is activist.
I have a little question about that.
Sure.
About that whole thing, because they mentioned the whole Formula One attendance, which I think you mentioned that this gentleman, Ken Griffith, is the one who invited you, and then it was asked, or you were asked, how much did you pay? $14,000. That's the figure you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Does that cover, is that for the full payment for everything, all the activities that you attended?
So anytime I go to any event, I have an obligation, if it's a gift, to disclose it publicly. Mm-hmm. In this particular case, she was asking a specific question about a specific person. And by the way, I decided to answer the question. It's not something that I'm required to do, because there's no requirement for me to disclose who I make a payment to in terms of a private event that I attend. That requirement. So I went beyond the public disclosures. The rest that I do is based on my obligations to the public to disclose things that are necessary to disclose. And that's what I've always done. This question has been asked and answered many, many, many times, and I'm not sure why they continue to harp on it when this happened months ago, 5 months ago. Okay,
so I don't mean to go back into it, but there were some other activities on that weekend, so everything is covered on the $14,000.
No. There's different activities, some of which were not gifts. You understand what I'm saying? So not every activity is a gift. Not every activity I paid for. I can attend an activity as a private citizen that doesn't require a gift disclosure. So that's, for example, I was invited one time to Carbone, and I told this to the reporter of the Miami Herald, to make welcoming remarks. I went without my wife. I didn't drink anything. I didn't stay for dinner. I went there, I made welcoming remarks, and I left. That's not a gift. I didn't stay for the event. I went there to do my public role, and I left. Very simple.
Okay. Briefly, I want to go back to the little incident just with one question. So if I ask the mayor right now, do you regret the way that you acted and your bodyguard had to interfere with that whole encounter with the journalist?
I regret the fact that it happened. I wish it wouldn't have happened. I wish they would have followed the procedure. I wish she wouldn't have put a camera 3 inches from my face or a few inches from my face.
So you don't regret your actions?
Oh, I'll get there. I regret, okay. I wish she wouldn't have aggressively put the camera in my face, and I wish I wouldn't have had to put it down and should not have put it down. I wish I would have had to do that. But I found it to be an aggressive move. It invaded my personal space. I was protecting myself, and I just simply asked her to please move away, which she did. So I don't understand why it became such a big deal, because she moved away, asked all the questions she wanted to, and I answered them.
Thank you. This gentleman, Rishi Kapoor, is no longer in control of this company. venture, and I'm sure you know, every media outlet did a story about that.
Yes.
We were trying to get your reaction. So he said through internal conversations that he interacted with you about a project in Coconut Grove in which he had to get zoning approval. So he also, and the leader of Constituent Affairs, Lázaro Quintero, was the person who contacted the zoning administrator, and he said, can you try to work this about zoning? Kapoor wrote saying, please say thank you to the mayor. What do you want to say about this now?
What I've said months ago, which is that I had no idea that he was communicating with my office. I was not told that he was communicating with my office. I was not included in any of those emails. I wasn't included in any of the subsequent meetings or emails that occurred after that, and that a decision was made.
Were you working for this gentleman?
Yes, and that was very clear. I was very straightforward about that. I was getting paid, so I had no involvement in that whatsoever. I would not do that. That's a conflict, and I certainly would not engage in that activity.
Were you getting paid $10,000 a month?
Yes, absolutely. I had a contract, I had services that I was performing, and I performed those services for him. And that had nothing to do with anything that he had to do with the city of Miami, and I did not intervene in any way, shape, or form in that entire process, which, by the way, was not controversial from what I found out after the fact. It wasn't something that, usually when we have a controversial zoning decision, you have hundreds of people posted out inside of City Hall. No individual city resident made a complaint. This was a complaint. Let me finish my answer.
The fact that nobody knew about it?
No, nobody's made a complaint since the Miami Herald articles. So nobody's complained about it because it didn't negatively impact anyone. This was a decision that the zoning administrator made on his own based on a prior zoning administrator's decision to give, from what I later found out, was a 5-foot setback. So it wasn't a controversial decision, and I wasn't involved in it. So, I've documented that, I've talked about it multiple times, and people keep wanting to bring it back, and that's the part that can be frustrating.
Okay. I have to just throw this question in there though, because, and you need to have a chance to be able to answer. I can see a regular citizen saying, I want to get a zoning certificate, but I cannot afford to hire the mayor and pay him $10,000 a month to make my life easier, because that's the way it was interpreted. What do you tell that to that? How do you answer that to a citizen?
I would say that that's completely false, because there is no connection between the work that I did for him and what he was seeking at the city, period, full stop. And I would further say that we get hundreds of emails, if not thousands of emails from our citizens directly to our constituent services person, the same person you mentioned, Lázaro Quintero, that are handled in exactly the same way as this matter was handled, and hopefully satisfactorily for them. So they don't have to hire a lobbyist, they don't have to hire anybody. They can come directly to our office and follow the same process. I tried to change the system of government, I don't know if you remember, a while ago, to a strong mayor, where the mayor's office would have the authority to make these decisions themselves. That didn't happen. So all we can do is refer the cases to the administration that independently analyzes them and independently makes the decision. I was not involved in that process, in any of the emails, in any of the, and by the way, all the members of the administration have already said that publicly on the record months ago. So I don't really understand why people continue to ask this question.
I think I told you why, but we're gonna move on.
Okay, good, thank you.
The other question that I wanna ask you is, in the past 4 months, 3 Miami's elected officials have been either charged with criminal activity, put under federal investigation, or face financial liability. Would you agree that, maybe the question is, would you agree to change the charter for the city so that anybody who is a public official and face charges, criminal charges, cannot be re-elected?
I've never thought about that, to be honest. There's a process right now that if someone is charged with a crime, the governor is the one that decides whether that person is suspended. The governor has typically, including in this case, made that suspension decision. And that suspension decision is based on whether or not the person is charged, and then that person, if they're found innocent, as has happened in the past, they're able to be reinstated. That process has worked. This is the first time I hear about this idea. Maybe we'll think about it. Sure.
Okay. I guess we're moving on to basically one of our last questions. What did you learn for running to be the nominee of the Republican Party for president?
So much, Ivan. I mean, it was a great experience for 75 days. I got to do it with my family by my side. I got to see different parts of this country that I'd never been to and never visited. And it gave me a lot of hope for this country, that this country, the people who are form the democracy that's the basis of this country are amazing people, just like the citizens are in the city of Miami. It's a beautiful thing. Obviously, one of the things that I learned is it's hard to do something that's never been done before, which is to win a presidency when you're, just going from the mayor or being Hispanic, another first in time thing. So, that's something that is tough to do. But those are not the things that stop me, right? I'm someone who has always tried to reach for the stars in certain moments. And if I fall short, you know what, I learn from it, like you said, and I come back potentially to try something new or different, or who knows.
So you said that you learned that it's really difficult to go from being the mayor to president.
Yes.
And Mayor Francis Suarez will no longer be mayor of the city of Miami as of 2025.
Correct.
So what is the political future for the mayor?
Look, a lot of people that were on the campaign trail talked about me running for governor instead of president, or talked about taking an intermediate step before you run for president. It's more typical if someone runs for president, and I'm not saying I will in the future, that they take that intermediate step. If I stay in politics, Ivan, it's because I'm doing something that I feel passionate about. It's because I'm doing something that I think can make a difference. And obviously, first and foremost, it would be in consultation with my family. That's a very far into the future discussion, but running for governor would be something that would interest me. There's a lot of jobs that wouldn't interest me, I can guarantee you that. And so, again, we're a long way away from that. My focus is completely on being the mayor of the city of Miami, representing my citizens every single day, the way that I have for 14 years. And talking about all the great things that are happening in the city of Miami. We've lowered taxes yet again this year, which unfortunately no one's talking about. We have a 40% reduction in homicides this year. We have, the highest surplus in our history, the highest bond rating in our history. We were upgraded in our bond ratings when the federal government was downgraded in their bond ratings. And so there's a lot of great things happening, and there's a lot of challenges that we got to focus on, like affordable housing is a huge challenge, like preserving some of our cultural facilities. So those are the things that motivate me.
Before we continue to the whole thing of you possibly running to become a governor, what can you tell us about this federal investigation that they're having against you?
I don't know anything about it. So the Miami Herald has reported that there's an FBI investigation. They've continued to repeat that. I am not aware of that. I haven't been contacted by the FBI. I find it hard to believe that the FBI would confirm to the Miami Herald that there's an investigation, because that would sort of defeat the purpose of an investigation. And so I don't know why they continue to say this. It's part of the reason why I think they have a bit of an agenda. Frankly, it's hurtful for them to continue to say something that they don't create a foundation for. They say that, I lack transparency, and what I'm saying is, where's the transparency in that and the fairness?
Okay. I hope that eventually you will be able to hold a conversation with our partners from the Herald and any other print media.
I would love to. I would love to be in a place where we have confidence in each other, because I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's good for that not to be the case. I've had a great relationship with the Miami Herald. In fact, when they were facing bankruptcy, they asked me to write a letter on their behalf to the bankruptcy court, which I did, because they wanted to remain independent and not be bought by a hedge fund. I was happy to do it. And I've had a great working relationship with the Miami Herald for many, many, many years. Unfortunately, I don't know what's gone on, that they've sort of taken this tact, and it's a big concern.
Okay. We're going to go back to what I was talking about. So, by the end of 2025 or before, is it safe to say that we will hear that Mayor Francis Suarez is going to run to become the governor of the state of Florida?
Here's what's going to be safe to hear, Ivan, one or the other. Either that, or I'm going to decide to get out of politics and to retire and be a private citizen. I've been in public service now for 14 years. Ya tengo las canitas. I already have the white hairs to prove it. It's like dog years. Every year in politics is like 7 years. And it's tough. There's a lot of scrutiny, understandably so. But it takes a toll on your family. You try to do the best that you can. And oftentimes for some people that's not good enough. And so that can be frustrating, but we'll see. I mean,
You're still interested, you're talking about it.
Yeah.
Evidently there's like,
No.
like they say, you have a niche.
listen, my only desire to stay in public service is if I can make an impact and it's something that I think is truly challenging where I can help a lot of people. That would be one of those opportunities.
Or is it to become a governor and then wanting to run for president?
Listen, you have to take life as the opportunities come. I ran for president because I felt like it was a good opportunity and it was the right moment, and I thought that I had the right ingredients. It didn't work out, and sometimes that's life. You can't succeed. Unfortunately, you don't succeed in everything in life. I didn't succeed when I wanted to run for mayor in 2013. I didn't succeed for the strong mayor in 2018. You learn from those defeats, and you get better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Take care.